Good day, 7STE. Today, we are going to discuss Environmental Science, Quarter 4, Module 2, Utilization and Exploitation of Energy Resources. The content of this video is taken from the self-learning modules produced by the Learning Resource Management and Development System of the Schools Division of Bulacan. Objectives: develop awareness about the utilization and exploitation of energy resources. At the end of this module, you are expected to 1. Differentiate conventional from non-conventional energy resources. 2. Describe the utilization and exploitation of energy resources. 3. Determine the status of energy sources in the Philippines. 4. Appreciate the importance of energy resources. And 5. Draw a campaign slogan that promotes the conservation of energy at home and in the community. What I know. Direction: choose the letter of the best answer. Write the letter of your choice on your answer sheet. See pages 1 to 3 of Quarter 4, Module 2. What's in? These letters are all mixed up. Arrange the jumbled letters to reveal the hidden word. Number 1. It is produced from the fossils of plants. Answer: coal. 2. Energy from the sun. Answer: solar. 3. Energy from moving air. Answer: wind. 4. The heat from the earth. Answer: geothermal. 5. It is the energy derived from flowing or running water. Answer: hydropower. What's new? Answer the given questions based on figures 1 and 2. Choose and write the letter of the correct answer on your answer sheet. So for figure number 1, we have conventional energy resource, we have crude oil, natural gas, and coal. Next, for figure number 2, we have non-conventional energy resource. We have solar, wind, biomass, hydropower, and geothermal. So let us answer the questions based on figures 1 and 2. Number 1, based on figure 1, crude oil, coal, and natural gas are obtained from blank or the remains of plants and animals. So the answer is letter A, fossils. 2. Liquefied petroleum gas or LPG is an example of C, natural gas. 3. Geothermal, wind, and solar energy are known as what kind of energy resources? Answer: D, non-conventional energy. 4. In figure 2, which of the following is not an example of clean energy? Answer: B, coal. And number 5, which of the following energy produced by moving air and can be harnessed to produce electricity? Answer: B, wind. Utilization and exploitation of energy resources. Energy resources have a vital role in the growth of the economy of a country. These energy resources have been used in different fundamental services such as industrial operation, fuel for transportation, and power source to generate electricity at home and other establishments. The Philippines has reserves of conventional and non-conventional energy resources. Conventional energy resources are also known as non-renewable sources of energy. These resources are available in limited quantities because they cannot be replaced immediately once they have been used or consumed. So the sources of energy in the Philippines are conventional and non-conventional. Your conventional sources of energy are also your non-renewable sources of energy. Conventional energy resources are from fossil fuels that were formed from the remains of plants and animals which died, were buried, and decayed a long time ago. Examples of conventional energy resources are coal, crude oil, and natural gas. Conventional energy resources. Coal. Coal was the first fossil fuel discovered. It is also known as the dirty fuel. But experts developed coal cleaner technologies and techniques through industrial processing to lessen the impurities. We have several coal deposits in the country that are used to generate electricity for the production of cement, chemicals, paper, and rubber boots. Coal is one of the cheapest sources of energy, but also one of the major public health hazards. Coal mining, transportation, washing, combustion, and disposing of post-combustion waste carry health risks that lead to mild, severe lung, heart, and brain diseases, as well as work-related injuries. Burning coal affects the environment, human health, and wildlife, and is a major contributor to climate change, air, and water pollution. The table below shows the Philippine coal status as of 2016. Table 1. The Philippine coal status as of 2016. In terms of coal reserves, we are 47th in the world. In terms of coal production, we are 25th in the world. In terms of coal consumption, we are 28th in the world. As you can see, our coal production is lesser than our coal consumption. That is why we have a yearly deficit of negative 9,048,863 tons. The Philippines holds 0.03% of the world share as of 2016 with more than 348 million tons of coal, placed as the 47th in the world. The total coal consumption increased by 59.55% compared to coal production, resulting in a yearly deficit of 9,048,863 tons of coal. Crude oil. Crude oil or petroleum is produced from fossils of plants and animals that were buried millions of years ago under the conditions of high temperature and pressure. So, some 300 to 400 million years ago, tiny sea plants and animals died and were buried on the ocean floor. Over time, they were covered by layers of silt and sand. Over millions of years, the remains were buried deeper and deeper. The enormous heat and pressure turned them into oil. Today, we drill down through layers of sand, silt, and rock to reach the rock formations that contain oil deposits. Petrochemicals produced from refined crude oil such as diesel and gasoline are used in various activities, in different industries, transportation, electricity generation, and even plastic production. Petroleum byproducts like ethylene and ether hydrocarbons are also produced. Crude oil is an example of non-renewable resources that probably one day will run out. The burning of oil produces carbon dioxide that contributes to climate change and can pollute the air. Table 2 shows the Philippine oil status as of 2016. In terms of oil reserves, we are ranked 64th in the world. In terms of oil production, we are 71st in the world. In terms of oil consumption, we are 35th in the world. As you can see in the table, our oil production is lesser than our oil consumption. That is why we have a yearly deficit of negative 395,742 barrels. The data in Table 2 shows that Philippine oil holds 0.01% of the world share as of 2016, ranking 64th in the world. Total oil reserves in the Philippines are less than even a single year of oil consumption. making the Philippines highly dependent on oil imports to sustain its consumption levels, resulting in 236,907 barrels per day as our oil imports. Natural gas. Natural gas comes from fossils. It is a mixture of light hydrocarbons, namely methane, ethane, propane, and butane. It contains 85% to 90% methane and some hydrogen sulfide, which is a common impurity in fossil fuels. Liquefied petroleum gas, or LPG, is usually used for cooking. Ethane, propane, and butane serve as raw materials for huge ethylene petrochemical industry that produces polyethylene plastic, ethylene glycol, and ethyl alcohol. Natural gas is considered a cleaner fuel than coal and crude oil because it produces fewer sulfur oxides, carbon monoxide, and reactive hydrocarbon combustion. However, it still produces carbon dioxide when burned and has a major environmental impact and contributes to global warming. Table 3 shows the Philippine natural gas status as of 2016. In terms of gas reserves, we are 50th in the world. In terms of gas production, we are 58th in the world. In terms of gas consumption, we are 75th in the world. So in the table, we can see that our gas production exceeds or is greater than our gas consumption. That is why we have a yearly surplus of positive 16,951 million cubic feet of natural gas. As the data in Table 3 shows, the Philippines holds 0.050% share of the world's gas, ranking 50th in the world. The Philippines have proven reserves equivalent to 31.4 times its annual consumption. This means it has about 31 years of gas left at current consumption levels and excluding unproven reserves. Coal, crude oil, and natural gas are very useful energy sources, but we cannot deny their harmful impacts on our environment. Fossil fuels contain many impurities that are released in the air during and after the burning process. This can bring harmful and disastrous effects to our environment. Carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, can cause global warming. Oil spills kills different marine habitat and organism. Shortly, if humans used all the fossil fuels, it would take millions of years before we produce the same amount that we have burned. We have to look for alternative energy resources or non-conventional energy resources to supply the increasing energy demand as well as to have the safest and cleanest source of energy. Non-conventional energy resources, or known as renewable resources, have less environmental impact. The renewable resources are solar energy, wind energy, hydroelectric energy, geothermal energy, and bioenergy fuels. The Philippines has set a goal to harness renewable energy as support for the high demand of energy in our country. The Philippine government targets expanding renewable energy installed capacity to 15,304 megawatts by 2030 and will push the percentage share of the renewable energy sector close to 35% of the country's energy generation mix. The Renewable Energy Act of 2008, or Republic Act 9513, is an act promoting the development, utilization, and commercialization of renewable energy resources and for other purposes. The Philippines is fifth in Asia in terms of using renewable or clean energy with 23.4%. According to the Department of Energy, the energy demand in the Philippines will increase by 7,000 megawatts in the next 5 years. Out of 25 energy plants installed, 64% are coal-fired and 6% are renewable. The country needs power energy transition to clean or renewable energy to combat global warming and have a more sustainable future. Non-conventional energy resources. Solar energy. Solar energy is energy from the sun. The energy is collected and converted into electricity by photovoltaic cells or solar cells. Solar panels are used to collect a large amount of electricity for households and other establishments. The amount of electricity that will be harnessed will depend upon the size of solar panels. Solar energy does not produce greenhouse gases. However, photovoltaic cells are expensive. The Philippines has a solar power plant located in Cagayan de Oro in Mindanao and solar photovoltaic cells in Batanes Islands as charging station. Wind energy. Wind energy is energy from moving air. The kinetic energy produced by moving air will be collected and converted into electricity through a wind turbine generator. The blades attached to a rotor spins the generator that converts mechanical energy to electrical energy. Wind energy has been used for industrial ships, agriculture, pumping water, and even other household services. Wind turbines are usually placed on tall posts or towers because as the altitude increases, the wind speed will also increase. The first wind farm in the country is located along Bangi Bay in Ilocos Norte, producing 25 megawatts of electricity. This is the largest energy generating set in the Southeast Asian region. Geothermal energy. Geothermal energy is the heat emitted from the earth in the form of hot water or steam. The Philippines is located at the Pacific Ring of Fire with many dormant and active volcanoes. The Philippines is considered as the third largest producer of geothermal energy in the world next to Indonesia and United States as of 2019. The geothermal power plants located in Laguna and Albay produces more than 900 megawatts of energy. Other geothermal power plants are located in Sorsogon, Leyte, Northern and Southern Negros, and Mount Apo in Mindanao. The power plant harnesses steam from the hot water beneath the Earth's surface to turbines that activates the generator to produce electricity. Geothermal energy, however, creates an environmental impact. The big turbines and generators produce intolerable noise, and the irritating scents of hydrogen sulfide gas make the air unhealthy for the people living in nearby areas. Hydropower. Hydroelectric energy is energy from flowing or falling water. Water does not have to be boiled to produce steam. The falling or flowing water runs the turbines attached to the generator to produce electricity. Dams are built across large rivers to store and control the flow of water. The water is released through the large pipes and could spin the turbines attached to the generators that convert the potential and kinetic energy of water into electricity. Maria Cristina Falls supplies the electricity in Mindanao. In Luzon, Caliraya Lake was built to harness the potential energy through Caliraya, Botocan, Kalayaan hydroelectric power plants. Water is free and does not produce greenhouse gases, but building dams can destroy the ecosystem. If a dam has already been built, there is a possible danger of flooding nearby towns when there is a need to release excess water due to heavy rains. According to the Department of Energy, the Philippines has 3,627 megawatts of hydropower installed in the country. Biomass. Biomass comes from plant and animal resources. As compared to fossil fuels, biomass does not have to go through millions of years to be used as an energy resource. Energy from biomass are harnessed from wood, sugarcane, coconut husks, shells, and other biological waste. So, the different sources of biomass energy include trees and plants, agricultural waste, wood products, animal waste, crops, and other biological waste. Animal manure is allowed to decay to produce methane as biofuels. The decayed plants produce methanol or methyl alcohol and ethanol or ethyl alcohol. Garbage dump sites and sanitary landfills produce methane fuels through anaerobic bacteria. Burning methane produces less carbon dioxide and releases fewer impurities to the environment as compared to burning fossil fuels. 2019 Power Situation Report of the Department of Energy. According to the Department of Energy, the gross generation of the Philippines increased to 106,041 gigawatt-hours, registering a growth of 6.3% from the previous year 2018. Grid generation contributed 98.5% of the mix, while off-grid contributed 1.5%. Luzon is the economic center of the country, contributed to the majority of the generation at 71.8%, while the Visayas is 15.1% and Mindanao recorded 13.0% share respectively. Coal continuously dominated the power mix in 2019 by increasing its share from 52.1% in 2018 to 54.6%. The further increase in coal generation was attributed to the entry of new coal-fired power plants across the country. With the domination of fossil fuels in the mix, renewable energy technologies decreased their total generation share to 20.8% due to the continuous drop in generation of hydro and limited penetration of other technologies to the mix. Natural gas contributed 21.1%, while oil-based plants continuously registered the least contribution in the power mix at a single-digit growth rate of 3.5%. The following data shows the gross generation and electricity sales and consumption of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Table 4 shows the gross generation in megawatt-hours in 2019. For coal, Mindanao has the highest gross generation of coal with 68.2%. Luzon has the highest gross generation of natural gas with 29.3%. Visayas has the highest gross generation of geothermal with 39.1%. Mindanao has the highest gross generation of oil-based with 4.0%. Mindanao has the highest gross generation of hydropower with 20.9%. Visayas has the highest gross generation of biomass with 2.2%. Visayas has the highest gross generation of solar with 4.1%. And Visayas has the highest gross generation of wind with 1.4%. In 2019, 106,041 gigawatt-hours was generated by the country. Mindanao has the highest recorded percentage in terms of coal, oil-based and hydropower gross generation, with 68.2% for coal, 4.0% for oil-based, and 20.9% for hydropower. Luzon got 29.3% of natural gas generated. The Visayas has the highest percentage when it comes to geothermal energy with 39.1%, biomass with 2.2%, and wind energy by 1.4%. Table 6 below shows the installed capacity of different energy resources in the Philippines. Installed capacity means the amount of energy that a power station can produce. So the different energy sources in the Philippines are coal, oil-based, natural gas, hydropower, geothermal energy, solar, wind, and biomass. The installed capacity for each energy resource are stated in the second column, and we can see that it is arranged in decreasing order. So, the energy source with the highest installed capacity is coal, followed by oil-based, and then natural gas. The energy source with the least installed capacity is biomass, followed by wind, and then solar. The use of coal is still the top source of energy in the Philippines, with 10,417 megawatts as of 2019 because coal is the most abundant, reliable, and cheapest energy source for now. Among the renewable resources, hydropower is the leading source of energy with 3,760 megawatts, followed by geothermal energy with 1,928 megawatts. Solar energy is placed as the number 3 source of energy with 921 megawatts, while wind has 427 megawatts and biomass with 363 megawatts. In terms of customer classification of total energy consumption, the residential sector consumed about 28.8% of 2019 total electricity consumption, followed by the industrial sector with 26.6% and commercial customers with 24%. The remaining percentage will be given to system loss and own use by different company and power stations. The exploitation of natural and energy resources started in the 19th century as they have learned to extract the natural resources. During the 20th century, energy consumption increased rapidly. The majority of the world's energy consumption is sustained by the extraction of fossil fuels, which consist of coal, and natural gas. Some problems arose from the exploitation of natural and energy resources, such as climate change, global warming, depletion of fossil fuels, pollution, and deforestation. What's more, Independent Activity 1. Identify the following energy resources as conventional energy resources or non-conventional energy resources. So if it's conventional, write letter C. If it's non-conventional, write NC. Independent Assessment 1. Directions. Match the description in column A of the correct term in column B. Write the letter only. So your choices are solar energy, wind energy, fossil fuels, RA 9513, crude oil, natural gas, coal, geothermal energy, biomass, and hydropower. Independent Activity 2. Directions. Draw a heart if the statement is correct and a broken heart if the statement is wrong. So write your answer on your answer sheet. Independent Assessment 2. Put a check in fact or bluff column if you agree or not on the following statements. So, after reading statements 1 to number 5, so if you agree with the statement, put a check under the fact column. If you do not agree, then put a check under bluff column. Independent Activity 3. Directions. Using Table 4, Gross Generation in Megawatt Hours 2019, tell whether the following information or data is related to the area of Luzon, Visayas, or Mindanao. Independent Assessment Tree. Directions. Complete the information needed on the concept map below. So, exploitation of energy resources, the use of natural resources for economic growth. Give some problems that arose from the exploitation of natural and energy resources. What I have learned. Directions. Read each statement carefully that describes the different concepts discussed in this module. Encircle the number that determines the level of your mastery. So 5 for high mastery, 4 mastery, 3 average mastery, 2 low mastery, and 1 no mastery. So these are the different concepts in the module. Kindly encircle the number that determines the level of your mastery. What I can do. Directions. Each type of energy resource has its sources, advantages, and disadvantages. Kindly choose 5 energy resources and complete the information needed in the table below. So we have an example done for you. Assessment. Choose the letter of the correct answer. Write your answer on your answer sheet. See pages 16 to 18 of Quarter 4, Module 2. Additional activity, performance task number 4.2. Make a campaign poster that promotes the conservation of energy at home and in your community. Please use a short bond paper for this activity. You will be graded based on this rubric. Content. The poster contains appropriate information based on the topic. And for the presentation, the poster is clean, neat, and creative. So the perfect score for this campaign poster is 20 points. NVISI Quarter 4 Module 2, Utilization and Exploitation of Energy Resources. So on your answer sheet, you need to have what I know, what's more, independent activities 1, 2, 3, independent assessments 1, 2, 3, what I have learned, what I can do, assessment, and additional activity, which will also be your performance task number 4.2. Upload your answer sheets in your Google Drive folder. The path is Environmental Science Quarter 4, Module 2. So thank you for attending our Environmental Science online class. God bless you all.